Welcome to everyone in Coffee Talk. All right, Jeff, we got wires?
We have wires. Are we prepared?
We're asking
no.
you.
We should have been prepared before you hit the button that says record, but
We'll figure it out. How hard can it be?
I'm good. Everything's working. Almost.
Go.
There we go.
Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCCA or NASA, we don't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you for coming back to listening to a flagship two-seater Aston Martin episode of our podcast. It is episode 177. Yep. You don't get that? You get it? It's a cool car. If you're not driving one, then you should get your E1R bingo card out. If you're driving any car, you should still not get your bingo card out. Maybe you'll get something this time because we're going to go do a little throwback, do a little bit of lemon stock. So get it out. You might win. And if you win, let us know.
All right. Just a quick drink check. Jeff is drinking Diet Faygo. Mental, what are you drinking?
I've got some key lime soda water.
All right. This is just for Mental. Raise your right hand and promise. We will not only stay sober, but we will not go 3 hours on this show.
I was sober when we went 3 hours.
You were not sober when we went
almost 3 hours.
Well,
Chrissy, you're not allowed to go on vacation anymore because Mental and I cannot be trusted with the podcast.
The Brownell episode, yeah, that was all tequila. But
we know.
And all the tequila.
And all of it.
All right, let's move on. Jeff, what you working on?
I have another quick question for y'all. How do you tell that you're a poor planner?
Your last name is Wakeman.
True. Digging your snow tires out of frozen snow is usually a pretty good indication that you are a poor planner.
Because I'm pretty sure we had that said
we had a tip that said put your snow tires on.
Yes.
I seem to remember this, and I seem to remember even before the Just the Tip on at least one episode, if not two. Hey Jeff, have you done that yet?
And what did I say?
Come over and do it this weekend while you're doing the
It's not going to snow.
You guys are talking snow tires, and I literally didn't even flip up the windshield wipers. It's like rookie move, but yeah.
Me either. Honestly, I didn't either. Yeah.
You're supposed to get a lot today, though, too, aren't you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you tell that you also don't care about your daily anymore?
Your
Banana
last name
peel
is Wakeman?
tires and rear brakes that were ground to the backing plates. Both situations I corrected this weekend.
You got your money's worth, though. That's what matters.
I did. I put on good rear brake pads too. I didn't just buy the Wagner Quiet Stop Quick
Organics.
I didn't buy the way. I got actually good ones from the old Rock Auto, and we'll continue to rock it. I also hardwired the V1. So that's it. That's what I did all weekend. Mental, did you do fun stuff?
Or in the Mazda?
In the Mazda.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did actually this weekend. I worked. I got a Toyota exhaust mounted up. We'll talk about that in listener feedback. Posted a video of it running, and then I finished up a welding table I've been working on. I've been working on my benches from left to right, like finishing them up, staining everything, polyurethaning. So I got all the last one was a welding table, so now it's got a metal surface that I can just weld directly onto.
How much you bench now? Huh?
How much you bench? And then just today we had to do some minor weenie dog surgery, and he is grumpy.
Oh,
shame.
So
he's like a little flower. It's so cute.
Yeah,
That's all retro. They used to have plastic ones where you couldn't move at all.
Oh, they still have those. When my big dog got it, she was just like, I hate this thing. And if it caught on a door, she would just force it through. Yeah, but yeah, he's the drama queen, but he had to have some teeth taken out today. He had a big like a spot under his jaw last week, so we made a vet appointment for him as soon as we could. So that's what's going on in my world. And then, as we talked about, I will be spending my summer now with what has become absurd project creep, directly stemming from previous hole in the roof.
Tell me about it. I very much understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris,
Great.
what you working on?
Someone's going to work on the Z, you know.
I'm going to edit together it's going to be like just a 10-minute thing of Chris over the last year going, well, somebody's got to work on the Z.
Yeah. Cooling fan is in and wired. I touched up the decking that Jim put in. The interior is actually mostly back together now. Made a grommet for the main wires. That was quite difficult this evening, but got something done. Oil lines and filter are all in and installed. Power steering lines are all done. 2/3 of the broken studs on the oil pan have been replaced. Fuel injectors are in. Fuel rails installed. Fuel lines are done. Let's see what else. I replaced a faulty gauge sender. Returned that from Amazon. Got another one. I'm actually starting to run out of things I can do with the parts I have available. Yep. Because I can't test things until I have an ECU that works and some other things like that. There's going to be more problems, but I can't really start testing them until I get a little further. Bill's should have the ceramic done shortly. He asked me which color 2 days ago. So
whatever color.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Ceramic color.
Right. So if he's that far along, then that means he'll have that shortly, so I can put the exhaust on. Yeah. So bring some parts, Jeff.
Yeah, I got a stack here.
Great.
So.
And Jim bought the HP tuners apparently, so we're good there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Exciting.
I look forward to slapping this car with penalty laps. This is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Please do.
Yep.
So many.
Every lap you get.
If we make back the penalty laps, we'll be ahead.
That's right.
Great.
Honestly, even though I know the intimacies of this build, and I think no one on this screen, including our guests, would disagree, I don't think I'd get any static putting you guys in Class B.
Oh, I think you'd get heat in B.
Not for the first
one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because our expectations are on the floor.
Right.
If we get a couple laps and we don't oil on the track and we don't launch the motor, then we're ahead.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys just spend 2 episodes on what not to do on an engine swap and just leave them alone?
Yeah.
2, 3.
In case there are 3 new listeners,
and there's 2 more episodes coming.
Yeah, in case there are 3 new listeners, we should mention that this is the 4.8 LS swap into the 91 300ZX, 92 300ZX. It doesn't matter. The Z32 300ZX.
You get me the engine codes of a LS1?
Yeah. So
LR4.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Mental, for every penalty lap you give us is 1 lap that you will be called in early on your next driving shift with us.
Oh, I love this.
That's actually
so.
great.
Can we also mention what popped up on Facebook recently?
You're going to have to be a lot more specific because
the 2-year anniversary of the first day we
Oh.
began working on the Z.
I'm so annoyed. I was like, really? Yeah.
My whole Facebook is nothing but GoPros now, and oddly enough, Toyota Weber carburetor conversions.
It tracks.
Great.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Chrissy, what have you been doing? Because I have no idea.
You have no idea.
No.
We were away doing lots of relaxing and drinking and fooding and
Yeah,
dancing.
seriously, I hate my hot tub now after seeing that one you guys had. I got to figure out how to make my hot tub do that.
Or be up in the air and in front of the ocean.
The water, well, that I can. Yeah. But
The waterfall. Yeah.
Well, those are easy. That's just a pump to some pipes in the wall.
In the wall. It just needs a wall next to it. Anyway,
Just a
had a great
fountain.
time. We were away. Then we came back to reality, which I hate when people go away on vacation because I swear I had people the day I got back. Hi, you haven't done this yet. And I'm like, I've been away. And they're like, I guess most people work on vacation, but when you go out of the country, you don't. So there's that.
Kind of defeats the purpose of vacation. If you're going to work and travel, well, we'll talk about that in the main topic because somebody knows how to do that a whole lot better.
Pretend time off. That's exactly what it is.
Right. Well, that's why we did real time off. And then when I came back, it was a slap in the face of reality. Oh, it was awful.
It was a completely alternate reality from when we were there. It's warm. It's secluded. There's very few people around. Everyone I meet is friendly and trying to give me a drink, and everything's wonderful. And then we come back.
That's called vacation, by the way.
This is extreme vacation. You don't do that when you go to Wildwood.
Yeah.
You're like, no, this is
Nobody vacations in Wildwood.
You can do it in a van in Alabama. You can do the same thing.
I'm pretty sure I've been at CMP where it's warm. Most people were friendly and everybody kept trying to give me a drink.
You didn't have the good food. No, you had good food there too. I don't know. I wouldn't compare Cancun.
Comfortable bed. Don't have that.
Okay,
at CMP
got that. And yeah.
And it wasn't that hot. We were warm like one morning when the breeze was a different way, but other than that, it was pretty amazing. Anyway, yeah, so that was awesome. And now we're back, so great. And by now, what? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Would it have mattered if you'd have walked, because we're all working from home? Well, you guys are all working from home. If you'd have walked in your office and they would have seen that you were tan, do you think that would have made an impact on you haven't done this yet? Or they're just all locked into their own?
Well, my people saw me, but I don't have as much of a tan because I wear a hat now because I'm trying to be smart about my skin. No, they knew we were away. Didn't matter.
Chrissy got a good grade for sunblock. No burns over a week on the
I did.
outside, so.
I got, my one wrist got burned a little bit because I was holding it up to the sun using my Kindle. But Chris got about a B minus.
Oh, B plus.
Oh, no, your one arm was pretty bad. Anyway, let's move on. Okay. And by now you heard this random person that is not just us. It is our good buddy and occasional teammate, but lots of good folks. He's everybody's good teammate and fun friend. Dave Mills, what are you working on?
I've just been working my tail off the last, 6 weeks since the pretend time off of my own in December.
And he just showed us the Mr. Plow jacket. He's not lying. There's not a lot of butt left back there.
Additionally, I've got 3 nephews and a niece. The first one just got his license this past Tuesday at No Fail Salem. He's got when he was looking for a car six months ago, I said, look, Uncle David is not at all tuned in transmissions, especially automatic ones. If you have any help of me helping you out at all, you probably want to look at the stick. So shout out to 3-Pedal Mafia and the 3-Pedal Society? Is that what it is? A whole society of things. He picked up a Econobox 05 Elantra and needed some work. I spent way too much time trying to diagnose some of the electrical problems. And last thing really is cleaning up my rental garage. It seems as if the 4th car on top of 2 trailers, a camper, a motorcycle, and a whole bunch of other clutter that I paid next to nothing for was in fact the camel that broke my neighbor's back and her narcissistic ex-boyfriend who has this vendetta out for me. Yeah, the township's coming after me and my excessiveness. I think we determined, I don't even know the term my landlord and I came up with, but
well, more
cleanup time in the winter.
The term that the city come up with.
Yeah. So did you get a letter from the city? Because I got a letter from the city once.
Yeah. It was, I had written it earlier in the notes. It was like bylaw 17, section D/C. And it was pretty vague. It said it had to be somewhat clean, fireproof, safe, and something else, all of which.
It's a garage.
It's all of that. It's like all of that,
all
you know?
Things. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Don't fail any of it. So I'm working within the confines of my legal right. Nothing is above the fence line. And since it's Winona, things are small in Winona. The neighbor and the narcissistic ex-boyfriend, her neighbor sort of goes up and steps up on the back porch. I'm sorry that your kitchen window looks into my rental space. If you have any problems, you can talk to my landlord.
Or
talk to township's after me.
Like a human being.
We've given the number multiple times. That ship sailed, a year and a half ago when I think I brought, something else there.
Hey, are you using a plug-in mic, or do you have is it you the computer mic?
I'm writing that in the notes later, but go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm going to let him finish up here.
Dave, yeah, where I was getting, are you using the computer mic, the default mic on the computer, or you got a plug-in mic?
It's the Bluetooth one to the headphones.
Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's making a
it's a like scratchy
kind of noise anytime you talk.
Let me see if I can make it.
I'm sorry.
Why don't we let him finish up, and then he can
that's okay.
finish his story,
he can fix
and then
it
that's okay.
While Chrissy talks.
How is it now?
Oh,
yes.
I think
better
it's better
so far. Okay.
Well, then that's where we're going to go with. There's two little headphone jobby thingies.
There you go.
Congratulations.
All right.
You work in
And that's what I'm
tech of
working
some
on.
sort, don't you? You're like two headphone jobby thingies. That's clearly a
Yeah,
technical
like
term.
I I used to be doing the hands-on techie. Now I'm a cyber security cat herder for guys around the globe. It's, we'll get into the details later, but I multitask a lot, somewhat efficiently, but yeah.
I hear that's not good for productivity, but who's saying?
I struggle with that. Look at the numerous projects that I've got going on at this point. I can probably agree with you. You're absolutely right.
Well, I'm going to attempt to herd the cats and say,
Go ahead.
news and notes.
Okay, in a story that we reported some months back, John Deere.
Yes, those people.
That John Deere is refusing to release their proprietary software because this is important. The end result is that farmers are now having to hack their own tractors. This is kind of amazing, actually. Steph Schrader posts at the Drive that farmers are now having to source pirated tractor firmware through a black market of paid invite-only forums. This is the only way to access electronic data link servers, diagnostic programs, and license key generators, speed limit modifiers, as well as allowing them to reverse engineer cables they need. Being as they would rather not to deal with this black market at all, they become the loudest voices in the fight for a formal right to repair act. This would guarantee the access to the tools and diagnostic systems so that they can fix their own stuff. At least 20 states, including farm-heavy Nebraska, have introduced right to repair legislation. Link in our show notes.
Yeah, John Deere was like the first one to really go hard on this. So we're locking down everything. No one can touch us except our service people. Like here's a plug that's like a dodecahedron that only works one way, right? And I'm glad they're standing up to him because that's BS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the. Oh, go ahead, Vento.
I'll say it's 9:00. You're trying to get the harvest in. You ain't got time to put that thing on a trailer and make it a service appointment.
Yeah, well, you're not putting a big ass harvester on a trailer anywhere. You got to wait for the guy to come out and fix it. And when it's harvest time, everyone's doing it. And come on, farmers are good at fixing stuff.
Well, I think another thing is the equipment longevity is so much longer. Like if you have a Honda for 10 years, you're like, I don't want to drive a Honda anymore. But if you get like the harvester that's a $400,000 piece that brings in acres and acres and acres of land, you're going to keep it for 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years. And you want the 1981 to run too. So why not?
Yeah.
Free sensors though, too. Everything's censored nowadays. You're forced to go to the dealer and bring that guy on site.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a mid-90s Ford any day of the week. I'd rather have that than some of the common.
Your microphone is sad again.
Yep. Oh, man. Try something else. Anyway.
Sad trombone.
Yeah.
Chris, you have a story.
Though? It's not sad. Is when VTech kicks in, following the business model of GM and Mopar Hellcat, Honda will now sell you its legendary K20C1 motor, that is from the current gen Civic Type R, as a crate engine. Sold by Honda Performance Development, the kit comes with the long block alternator, turbo, starter, and the controls package. It bundles the ECU, swap harness, pedal, etc. Already tuned, ready for easy installation if a K-swap fits. Previously available only to Honda Racing Line members and race teams like us, but as Nick Berg tells us over in Hagerty, it's now being offered to the general public for racing and other off-highway uses. Sadly, it's not quite road ready, but, sure, someone will find their way around that because VTech kicked in, yo.
This after we've been telling people don't do engine swaps. This is a great engine swap. Nick Berg also penned a second article over at Hagerty, got my attention, and it is about a British startup the Watt Electric Vehicle Company and their new modular electric conversion idea. It's called the PACES, and it stands for Passenger and Commercial Vehicle EV Skateboard. It's designed to be adaptable to a wide range of machines, from six-wheel trucks to buses to sports cars. It's scalable, can host front, rear, and all-wheel drive powertrains, and the batteries are held down low on the chassis skateboard, built from lightweight aluminum extrusions that are bonded together like the Lotus Elise. Watt is currently partnering with other UK manufacturers to deliver a package including batteries, motors, control systems, ready for bodywork and interior to be fitted. And as a proof of concept of what basically is going to be bespoke, handcrafted electric cars, they are producing their own car called the Coupe, which is clearly inspired by a Porsche 356. It promises to weigh less than 2,200 pounds, have 50-50 weight distribution, a rear-mounted electric motor, and a 40 kilowatt-hour battery for a range of 230 miles. Link is also in our show notes. I am fascinated at the idea of owning a retro hybrid or a retro electric car. I would love that, especially if I could put it on a speedster kit or something.
Yeah, and the air-cooled Volkswagen Porsche world has been one of the earliest electrification platforms that have been around.
Yeah.
Cool. Chrissy, who's my favorite driver in Formula One? Who's my not most favorite driver in Formula One?
That's what I was going to say. Like, I'm not really sure I know who your favorite is. I think you're a Verstappen fan.
I am a Verstappen fan.
So there you go.
You may have to leave the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Current Formula One darling, who is not my favorite driver, Lewis Hamilton, not because he's not a great guy, not because he's not a great driver. Just, I like the underdogs, man, and he wins all the time. Has finally signed with the Formula One current dominating platform, Mercedes.
And by current, do you mean in the entire history of Formula One? I just want to throw that out there because no one else has won 8 constructors championships. No one.
Okay.
Depends on best. We could go all night
exactly.
on this. Figure out what is the best.
8.
Well, sure. Now, I will say, of course, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes are the current dominating team. How about that?
Great.
Anyway, he for Lewis Hamilton, in case you didn't know, has been technically unemployed for the last couple of months. He finally signed and is now working again for Mercedes. So his new 1-year contract, they only signed a 1-year contract, which I thought was interesting, is going to demand some more diversity within the team. He's going to form a joint charitable foundation, which he started, called with a mission of supporting greater diversity and inclusion in all forms of motorsports. Hansel Southwell writes at The Drive about Hamilton's increased social activism in the last year and how he petitioned the FIA and the FOM to include a demonstration against racism at the start of each Grand Prix. And then when Mercedes then the FIA adjusted rules to stop Hamilton from wearing a protest shirt because he wore one that said, arrest the people who killed Breonna Taylor and say her name on the back of the shirt. So they adjusted the rules and they said, you must wear your gear to the podium. So Mercedes printed up Black Lives Matter t-shirts. You know what? I have to say that Formula One has not been that great to Lewis Hamilton in this year in his fight for this. So to see Mercedes really backing up with this 1-year contract, a lot of efforts, and I would say not just small efforts, great efforts to really make sure that Lewis Hamilton can get a podium, not just winning the race, but also a podium to talk about racial injustice is really great. So I do actually like Lewis Hamilton. I just want to see somebody else win every now and then. So what else do I want to say? Mercedes and Hamilton have been working for diversity initiatives and STEM in schools. They are committed to completely diversifying the organization by 2025. Link in the show notes from The Drive. I will mention also that the Formula One schedule has been shifted several times already due to COVID and construction delays, but the first race is scheduled for March 28th in Bahrain.
So this contract must have been huge because they just signed now, and everybody was in their seats before the season even ended in December.
He was the last seat to sign.
Yes,
yeah.
But by a long shot.
By a long shot, yes.
He's been out of. Go ahead.
when you've been working together for so long, I feel like if you're gonna find a way if you like each other, like
They weren't gonna not sign him.
Right. And he wasn't going to not sign with them. He's like, yeah, there's no rush. Like, we'll get it. Don't worry. Like, everyone stop. Quit your bitching.
That's actually what Toto Wolff said. We were under no pressure to make the signing any speed, or because we knew he was either going to retire or race with us, and we were fine either way, and we would support Lewis in whatever he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
It almost felt like it was the what's that game that you play when you're trying to the chairs.
Musical chairs.
Musical chairs. Thank you. Right. Musical chairs happened, and I know I was
the chairs and the music.
Sorry, I was thinking of Ringing Around the Rosie, and that's not.
I was thinking Duck Duck Goose. I don't know what you were talking
right?
about.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. All right. So, yes, musical chairs. Everybody sat down except for Lewis, who's just walking around like, why is everybody hurrying? So yeah, I just thought it's got to be a serious contract. And he probably was so serious. They're like, just 1 year. We're not going to send this long.
Actually, what I also read in the same article, a different article that we linked, was that they were doing a 1 year contract because of the rule changes in 2021 and to make sure that Lewis was ready to commit to a long term.
Oh,
so
good.
He's still talking about potentially moving out of Formula One or to a different sport or to concentrate his efforts in something else.
Just go sit down.
To just
do
I'm just gonna drive every now and again.
Do nothing.
I'm really gonna do this. Yeah.
Recent racing results. Do we have any upcoming races?
No.
Recent results.
March. No. Recent results. We do have some.
Yes. Champ Car was at Road Atlanta this past weekend. The weather was snowy and crappy yet again.
I saw all the footage of all the people snowing, and I'm not. It was not Schwein. What's the Schweinfurt thing that you always talk about?
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, it was not that. I was just like, fucking Road Atlanta, man. God.
I'm never going back to Road Atlanta in December. Like this could always happens in the winter at Road Atlanta.
Well, this was January and it wasn't helpful.
It's the same.
Yeah. Thanks to Cameron Lopez. He sent us a great photo of the snow at Road Atlanta. I don't know if you can see that in the show notes, everybody. Is that the new tower or the old tower?
New one.
That's what I thought. It's got like big Michelin Man on it.
Big guy on it, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. There was lots of post-race discussion on the Facebooks about the benefits of the rain lights and the terrible driving and the finger pointing about who's a terrible driver and why they should be a terrible driver and
so much of it. It was over and over again, and they were bitching about each other on different Facebook pages.
Yes,
they're like, everybody over there, they don't like that, and they're like, oh, but they said rain lights are great, and AER is like, yeah, we did a good job because rain lights are great. Yes, it happened.
You're a poo-poo head. No, you're a poo-poo head.
Yes. At one point, somebody said, "I thought we used to have to have a couple races under your belt before you could go to Road Atlanta." And someone else chimed in with, "Yeah, everyone does have experience. It's the experienced assholes that drove like assholes, and it's the new people who were great." So,
absolute fact.
So anyway, does anybody know what the results were?
It was a 14-hour enduro, 98 cars, which is a fair turnout there.
That's a good turnout.
First was Cone Crushers in a 944, 4 laps over R-Bank Racing in a CRX. So you can tell that power was not really the problem at this race.
No,
if that's what's doing well. But when you can only put so much power down. Lap back was a Mini Cooper that won Class B.
And I one of the drivers on that team, he rented a kid named Lester Epps, and I met Lester 6 years ago. He showed up. He was a track junkie, and he showed up at an extreme experience event, and I right seated for him. And I just remember, like, second lap, I'm like, all right, dude, you got this. You're doing fine. And he gets out of the car and he goes, hey man, how do I get your job? And, the old joke about, well, you waste a bunch of money racing, da-da-da-da-da. The next year, he was instructing with Extreme Experience at the Autobahn course. I've seen him at Grid Life half a dozen times. You can follow him on Instagram at Super7King and also on his Facebook. This guy, because he's young and he's in his 20s, he can do this, but he posts videos of himself parking the truck and trailer in his work parking lot with the $800 Honda that he's got. He's on his fourth engine. Just driving back after driving all day Sunday, then driving all night to get to work and walking into work, having not slept yet, because that's just the kind
brutal.
of dedicated hustle he has. And I was really excited that he got the seat in the John Player Special. He is now also a pit guy with Revolution 3 Racing and shiftup.com. So he's been working with Shea Holbrook and all that whole team, doing their pit side support for a half a dozen different races. The guy is, I'm glad he's young and doing it, but it's just cool to see somebody young and doing it. And he's still got the talent. It was awesome.
All right. The 1968 Dart we talked about, they're 60th. Still managed 88 laps. Good for them. Hongers, they brought Grumpy Butt. They were supposed to retire that, but I guess not because they probably didn't have something else done. Finished 16th because they're good. And that was a fast lap of the race. 2 seconds faster than the quickest EC car. And Flying Moose Racing, the amateur team of that seat stealing fool Randy, ran exception class because Randy's a nice guy, but he's still a dirty seat stealer. They finished 8th out of 16 with 118 laps.
There were 16 cars in the exception class.
Well, there's 98 overall. Like, we'd be an exception with everything we have.
I guess.
Yeah.
They're not anything good in exception. Doesn't always have to be good in exception.
That's
Some
true.
people like, look, I just don't want to do the points, man. It's just too much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares if you win?
Not interested. I don't want to calculate the square footage of plywood and add it like 227. And no.
Yeah.
Jam car. Cut that out. Your silly rule book.
That's what their racers like. So
It's fine.
Cool. And they've provided an avenue for people who don't want to play that game to still get on track. Good on them.
True.
Same thing with Lucky Dog. Hey, you don't want to run our spec tire? Come on out. You're just going to be in the Super Dogs.
That's true. All right, Mental. You're the.
Listen up!
Thank you.
I'm trying, and I keep getting interrupted because
This
that's
is why
what
we go
happens.
3 hours when you're not here. Keep us moving,
my
Chrissy.
listener feedback. Okay, last week Chris and I stupidly presumed Mental and Jeff could handle the show. We didn't actually think that. We just had to leave you guys and just didn't want to cancel. Not only was it late getting posted, but it went 3 hours. So I was happy to see our guests Dave and Ian from the Apex Jason podcast post comment on our YouTube. We had a fantastic time on the show. Thank you so much for hosting us and listening to us blather on and on about our unreliable cars, defend Dave's LS460, and finally recall pink paint induced ignition issues during a Lemons race. Lemons. Okay. Thank you. We love you. So we are going to take the time now to share our feedback because we listened to all 3 hours.
I'm sorry.
Long flight.
No.
Oh, it's feedback.
Yay.
Go ahead.
Chrissy, you want to start us off?
No, you can start.
All right. I think you guys need to treat the show like an improv class or an improv troupe. Just say yes and roll with things. You bickered about BS stuff. Like, no.
That we didn't care about.
You had to get right.
Nobody cared about. We didn't care.
Like, because you had to say this, you had to get this line, and you had to say something. You just need to go with like an improv troupe and say just yes, whatever happens, yes, roll with it. It's probably not going to make the show any worse. In fact, it can only make it better than the bickering back and forth that's happening sometimes. So just say yes and keep rolling. And if you don't get to say your catchy line that you just thought of and you're so impressed with yourself about, oh, well, there'll be another one.
I wrote those lines like 48 hours out. I wanted to say them.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Good. Let's practice this. Also, podcasters, people that only listen on podcasts and do not see all of the fun, beautiful 4 other faces that I'm looking at and all the things that you guys are doing and the funny faces you make. That sucks for people that are listening on a podcast because when you go, oh my God, look at that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
That's so great.
It sucks for podcasters.
Oh, you got to see this. Yeah.
Oh, is that what I think it is? Dumb. Don't do it.
Describe. If you need to, go to Pornhub and watch the described videos channel for a little while to get an idea of how it's just.
What the hell is that?
You ever heard about this? It's for blind people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do they read it to you?
No, they describe what's going on in the video.
Somebody okay.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You can imagine.
I'd say send me a link, but I'm like, nah.
Yes. So we just need to say
Just
more about what
describe
we're
the
looking
video.
at.
Wait,
I love
what
that.
do you see?
Especially since you had so many pictures
That
in the
is
last
quality
podcast.
feedback.
You looked at a lot of pictures, and unfortunately we could picture it because we knew the pictures. But when you're just saying like, oh, what is that? Oh, is that van is amazing. And you're just like, oh, is that, what is that rug? Right. You're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about or looking at. Thanks. Mic drop.
All right. Who else has got feedback?
2 weeks ago, we got emailed a tech question from a Lemons team. Does a Lemons cage add enough bracing to cut the roof off of a unibody car without any body flex issue? Now, I deliberately pushed this a week because I wanted Chris's input.
No.
Anyone else? Because that's also what I said.
I believe
think so. Yes.
I believe Sasha has tested this. We need to bring him in and describe the cutting the roof.
I mean, I can go on a little
into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a little bit here. And that you've got to. It has to be a very good cage that ties in the right structural points of the car. It can't just be a basic cage. It depends on the car too. Some of them are more structural than others, and there's other things you might want to consider leaving too, like, you know, what, like there's weird spots where multiple parts come together and it triangulates and it adds a lot of strength. And even though that might technically be above the window line, you don't want to cut that off. So it has to be done with great care and great thought. And also the knowledge that if you do, Pagel might say, no, go home. So that needs to be part of your equation.
If John Pagel does not sign off, it's a Facebook group.
Facebook page.
Get it pre-authorized. Send videos. Send pictures, draw-ups, mock-ups. Get it pre-approved. Don't get
send the drops and markups before you take a Sawzall to it. Otherwise, it just one goes. And
so to that end, because we're not the final authority, I actually emailed John Pagel, the Lemons chief technician, professional cage builder, actual certified licensed engineer. And instead of emailing us back, he called me in the middle of the day.
He wasn't busy driving the trains?
He was actually. That's the point. This should underscore what we're about to say. And to quote him, I'm not going to tell anyone they can't do it. I'm just going to highly suggest that they don't do it. And he did take the time to acknowledge that there are convertibles running in Lemons and other series. And yes, there are homemade convertibles running in all those series. But in every event where you've chopped the roof off of a car, you are inviting extra scrutiny. A roof removal is going to get your car right out of the gate, more attention, especially if John doesn't know about it beforehand. If it just shows up with a roof chopped off, he's going to get deep into your chili. And if you can show where you kept your structural integrity without compromising the crumple zones, you can't build a tank, you can't show up with an IMSA cage or a round dirt track cage. Your welds are perfect. You have arm restraints and everything. You're going to be okay. And at that point, it's just easier to keep the roof on the car.
Yep.
Yeah, we're half joking when we say don't do an engine swap. There is no joke in my mind that says just leave the roof on, people.
You have to be let's say a grizzled veteran of making poor decisions at Lemons to decide that you're going to cut the roof off. And that's because you've made all the mistakes enough to know and to have that risk calculation and understand the consequences. Yeah.
All right. I don't know how many of you saw this, but James Mulhern posted on our Facebooks how much he liked our motor swap episode and the discussion of the exhaust manifolds, which I didn't even remember us talking about exhaust manifolds. I was too pumped drunk about the 3-hour show. But he posted some fantastic pictures of his homemade turbo 4-cylinder RX-8 swap. And I posted them in the show notes. You can check them out. But I was immensely intrigued by his motor mounts.
Well, let's describe some of these pictures a little bit. It's a 4-cylinder with definitely a homemade manifold out of, looks like weld L's to make a log manifold to hang a turbo off of a non-disclosed 4-cylinder that is mounted fully behind the shock towers in this RX-8. So it's through a big hole in the firewall.
Yeah.
And then there's some square tubing, making motor mounts to make a subframe for this thing. I mean, this is fully into this is your insane category, James. So you knew what you were getting into and you knew how long it's going to take. So keep it up.
Yeah, and I don't have to say it any plainer, but if you plan on hanging a turbocharger off of your manifolds, that's just going to complicate things a whole lot more.
Yep. This particular powertrain, it did come with a turbo variant, but it probably didn't put the turbo where he wanted it. So, yeah.
Is that a Ford of some sort? That's
I'll
my
tell
vibe.
you later.
Okay.
I'll tell you later. If he didn't say what it was and he doesn't want to give it away, then we won't ruin the surprise.
Oh, okay. We won't ruin this. Well, he posted those pictures on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
so if
but they
anybody
don't
wants
have...
to see it,
yeah. Anyway,
just check out the comments on the episode 175 post on the Everyone Racers Facebook page.
Okay. Or I just put it in the chat, Jeff, so you can see it. Anyway, as mentioned before, Mental did get his Hilux running, and it has a new exhaust. So he posted a video on the gram. Gnome Hammer mentioned it's a cute little ship. Love little trucks like that. Lemons Ruins Live said rally, rally, rally. And Wart Burglar Aaron said he is also a noted Toyota enthusiast. He said, I'm jealous. That thing's freaking sweet. I don't think Aaron would actually fit in the 78 Hilux. He's too tall. Like that car's not designed for tall people. And yeah. Mm-mm. Anyway, and Pantless Matt said, when are we LS swapping it? No, Matt, go back and listen to those 3 episodes.
That thing would twist like you wouldn't believe.
There's a whole YouTube series about a guy that did exactly that into a 77 Hilux and then spent his time driving across country in it.
Yep. If this is your hobby, then great. If you don't really want to do anything else in life, fantastic. Have a good time.
So the iRacing series is back in full swap.
Speaking of hobbies and doing nothing else in life.
There you go. Much better segue than mine. Friday night was the 2021 Season 1 opener for the I Suck at Racing iLemons Race League. Started at Long Beach for a 2-hour Funduro. Drivers and video cards working overtime because there are a lot of walls and a lot going on back there. Chris and Eric and I joined Ryan in the booth. Chrissy hung out for a while. We would hear her yell at stuff. Like he only had one mic, but Chrissy was actively
I was
involved.
on the other couch, and then I was like, I would just tell him things.
Yes. We had 2 separate liveries that referenced Bish RVs, neither of which were from Randy Bish. We had a brilliant Fresh P-ness livery. That was great. Showed up Monday night as well. Jewish Space Lasers, an actual French racer joining us like at 2 a.m. their time, and clearly got it because he had baguettes and French stuff all over his car. New Urban Dictionary reference called the Rusty Mustang. It's real. Don't look it up while you're at work. We renamed 2 turns, which we also can't talk about if you're going to listen to this at work. And Bob, the physics programmer, had a very long meeting on Monday after the Yeet Fest. We even had a semi-serious racer, Matt Polasek, who crossed the line first, but the winner was Eric Hesser, who lost by 69 laps. Nice.
And what? Do something? No.
Go ahead. Okay. You're up.
This Sunday we'll all be at Sebring for the Thunderdome. No pendle, no wheel, and trash racing. It's Valentine's Day. We won't guilt shame anybody for not showing. And it's still Rona season, so it's perfectly acceptable to come to I Race Lemons or join us as we come in the booth. Monday is a holiday anyway, so we're funnier when you're drinking.
Awesome. I have off that day. Maybe I will get there on that thing. I have off Monday, I should say.
Yeah, right.
Well, I couldn't get off Friday. It was WandaVision. E1R race. In case you haven't noticed, we race every Monday. So in preparation for the Sunday, we ran at Sebring. The first event was in the free cars, Skippies. Just about everybody took the Skippies. We had a couple of people in Mustangs. And other things. I was in the Skippy. That was fun.
As was I.
Then we did the classics at night. So the classics are the NASCAR, 87 NASCARs, the 49 Lotuses, and none of them have any freaking headlights. So it was dark.
Yep.
Very
we had
dark.
The street stocks in there too.
Oh, the street stocks are there too. There were 23 people who showed up for the racing on Monday, which was awesome, including long-time commenter on the Lemons broadcast, Lady A. Lady A was there. She has a sim set up now. So very cool. So if you want to join us Monday night, show up 9 p.m. Eastern time. And at 10 p.m., show up at 9. We do some practices beforehand. We typically will do whatever Lemons is racing the later in the week, so you get some practice. Unless we don't like the idea, then we just do stupid stuff. We have a Discord channel. You definitely want to be in it. You do need a password. So email us, look in the show notes, find the password, hit us up on the social medias. We'll let everybody in. We just don't let everybody in who's not a listener to the show, or else we get people who are taking it entirely too seriously.
This is no place for
real
seriousness.
racers.
Real racers show up and like, you're
real
messing
sim
me up.
racers. Right.
My
I'm just
God,
here
you
for the
both are so
points.
unprofessional. Ugh. Yeah, just here
Yeah.
for the SR.
So, Dave, have you ever had the cookies in our paddock?
Yeah.
So,
Chrissy's mom's cookies?
that's right, Chrissy's
Check the
mom's
box!
I was going to offer if you wanted to say hi to Chrissy's mom and thank her for the cookies.
Chrissy's mom, good day to you. What a lovely daughter you have. Unfortunately, has poor decisions in her choice of husbands, but we like Chris as well. It's been a pleasure watching you guys develop out your podcast show. It's kind of weird sitting here. I still think I'm listening to your stinking podcast where I'm on it. I'm at the garage doing whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not just multitasking. But yeah.
Wait, why are they talking to me?
Yeah,
Dave,
you actually have to respond.
What?
Which is a perfect segue to our main topic, and we'll say the world's most interesting man, gentleman Dave Mills. And if you don't think he's the most interesting man, by the end of the show, you might. If you've been around this hobby for any extended period, particularly on the East Coast, you've been around Dave Mills. Now, we make a lot of good-natured jokes, but while we were all living trapped in our houses, Dave was quarantined proper in this great nation of ours, and we're going to talk about that. He has run a ton of Lemons events with his own team as a member of other teams, and that includes us. And we're going to talk about that. He's got a stack of awards to his name. We're going to talk about that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see someone behind him. He works for AER for track support. We're going to talk about that. He drove the Route Sucky Suck rally with his dad in his freshly restored Chevelle, which he converted to a diner. We're going to talk about that. We've got his old Chevy truck, how he runs with Sasha, squatting with Fail Inc. and Florida Man Racing in their headquarters. And if we're lucky, we're going to get some great recipes from him. So it is actually probably overdue, but it is our good friend, teammate, everything, gentleman, David Mills. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Mental Chris, Chrissy, and Jeff. I guess the sort of elevator pitch, Eagle Scout. Solar-powered IT Peace Corps volunteer in Gambia, West Africa, which is a primarily Muslim country during 9/11. Cut my teeth on the dirt track down at Budds Creek, Maryland. 11 years now on the Lemon circuit. A bunch of arrive and drives, a couple Class C wins, additional IOE. After that, I think I'm at like 9 IOEs. And then, competitions across the last 10 years since I think you guys came on circuit, 11 or so?
Yeah, we're like 1 year
but
behind
like
that, I think. 10 was our first race.
That doesn't really count.
10. Okay. So competitions between Three Pedal Mafia, Rally Baby, NSF, and then in the last couple of years have really got involved on the Lemons Rally circuit. And now with 6 weeks off with my techie job, a couple of 68 Chevys, and cars that have 50-year-old plus electrical gremlins. I suck. I suck electronics. That's the thing.
I think I would take a 50-year-old car with electrical problems way before I would take an average modern car with electric problems. Chris is probably the other way around. He's like, no, if you can't plug in the scanner to find out what's wrong. Oh, is Chris talking?
Let me just give you a baseline.
Are you muted?
No,
Chris?
he's muted.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's something about having 2 fuses and 12 wires that is appealing.
It depends on how far you go back, right?
Yeah.
You know the electronics in the MG. You just you go from the MG to current cars.
I was actually thinking the other day about the Rolls Royce because I was thinking about that cold day we were wrenching at our house, and you pulled apart the fuel pump, the dual-ended SU fuel pump.
Yeah.
And
I had to clean the points.
The points inside the fuel pump.
Yeah.
Pump.
Yep.
And keep the points. That new sort of Pentronic stuff. That's junk.
I love those damn
I
things.
love Petronics. I would put Petronics.
Keep the
Petronics
points.
igniters are great. I have
When they-
Petronics in.
They're good when they work.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it in the MG. Anyway, keep going.
So 9 IOEs. That is an intriguing history. One of the things that I know goes back to one of the earliest races. You were at the one and only
Rolls-Royce?
No, it's
Nelson's?
Rolls-Royce. The Nelson's Ledges.
Nelson's Ledges?
I don't know why we put the S. It
I don't
annoys
either.
people.
Because
I
it
finally-
makes Eric twitch.
It makes
Yeah,
Eric twitch.
yeah, I
Okay.
got
It's just
the
to be
backstory
annoying.
today. So I guess Gentleman Dave is where I landed with you guys, but by the internet moniker, it is Caddy Wrecker. And there's a certain race back in 2009 at the infamous Nelson's Ledges race, where I brought 7 hours into a 24-hour event. Did not crash to a bridge. It was the embankment build-up funnel or whatever it is. A 61 Cadillac into the tires at Nelson's. And that was early in my racing career. The story gets better every time that Phil says it. Apparently that Lemons is still working on a story with it, but it's the latest I heard, it's 80 miles an hour with my hair on fire backwards, you know, how kind of Phil gets in there and tells the story. I'm looking forward to the actual, like, I guess they're doing like a Lemons video on that whole weekend, but were you guys there?
We were not.
No, okay, so that was Shantytown. That was the
I was totally there.
capitalism versus communism.
We picked up the Wartburg that weekend.
Oh, I thought that was Mid-Ohio
That's
that you
right.
picked up the
No.
Wartburg.
No,
That's
Jim and
where it
I
was.
went and we got the Wartburg running and
Yep.
drove it around the paddock and picked it up. So we got to see Shantytown. We got to see, Dave Morrow spending the entire weekend swapping the engine in his van. We got to see the wrecked
Yep.
caddy. All of it. The pit toilets,
A lot of this
the drug bridge, you name it.
iconic race. Just head to toe mud. 7 hours in, I wrecked the car. 90 minutes back on track. Like 4 hours later, the head gasket went, and we did, mud, nasty, 8, 9, 10 hours over the course of the night to get the caddy back on the track, only to, stumble over a couple laps and take the checkered. But yeah, awesome race.
But the secret that you're letting out here is that Phil might not be 100% accurate on all of his stories. That's the big news. That's the headline of the show already. Like, we're not going to top that. Phil might not be 100% accurate.
So he takes after Mental with storytelling.
So-
They're not going to let the truth get in the way of a good yarn.
Yeah, duh.
So Nelson Ledges, the early safety days is they all gave us a glow stick. And since the only thing that's not lit is the main start finish, that if you were out in the track out there, that the rule was if you got off track, if you needed help, if you were okay, break the stick and wave it out the window. Well, I happened to kind of crash in front of everybody, which again, not my proudest moment, but between the red flag and people stopping and the safety track rolling, the story from, I think, Nick Pond is he's dead. Other people are like, he's not, whatever. Literally, that 61 Detroit metal got pulled out of the tires. It turned right over. And I'll tell you, I drove it right back into the pits. It was, yeah. It was
So
a
the
really
car
good
wasn't
change
even
and whatnot,
incapacitated, and you did not, in fact, die.
but did not die. Still here talking about it.
All right, so we have joked frequently on this show about your random rambling lifestyle across the United States, your inability to actually live in a house, although you seem to be living in a house at the moment. As far as I can tell, this all started when you did a Lemons rally with your dad in a car that you just restored. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what was going on there?
I want to focus on, he voluntarily strapped into a car with his own father for basically 8 days?
8 days. It should have been 9.
8 days.
I lost my contingency day, but yeah, 8 days. 3,900. So 3,915 miles, 13 states, and 8 days later, the first shakedown of this car that hadn't moved more than 20 minutes and 10 miles in any direction. It was a 700-mile shakedown, 15-hour ride from Jersey to Chicago to make the starting time. I think we got there at 7 in the morning. Rally started at 9. I must have put at least 100 hours into that car. It came out of paint the Sunday before. Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days to get it sort of back together. Couldn't leave on the 5th, had to leave on the 6th, and we, basically a 700-mile shakedown by pouring probably a quart of oil every 100 miles.
This was
never touched the engine. Never touched the engine through all of this.
This was a 68 Chevelle that would you say restored or just like pulled out of a field and got safe?
It was a one owner running and driving, got it from a family member for $500 running and driving. It's a 307, 3 on the tree, 300 model. So not a 300 Deluxe, not a Malibu, not an SS. If you really sort of back it up on the list of entry level cars, this is your Honda Civic without the LX or ES or any of that kind of stuff. This is the bare bone Chevelle model. They made 2,919 of these out of a 464,699 production year. It equates to 0.63% of the V8 population. So it's pretty rare, I guess, but it did come with white wall tires when I had received it. At the time in 2008 when I got it, I just liked the style. I liked the fact it had no bells and whistles. And that was the time I could afford to like take the bolt off, clean it, treat it, and put it back on again. And so that was sort of carried with me over the sort of 8 years, 9 years, just chipping away. 1 year was a suspension, underneath was the rear. Learning by doing, just self-taught mechanic and self-taught, simple body work. But yeah, it's been my project car. It's Gloria. That's my Gloria. Still now 160,000 original miles, tired original miles. I was over in Delaware a couple weeks ago and just flogged the crap out of it, ripping through, 2 or 3 miles of an old stomping ground. And it just sort of makes weeks worth of work just melt. Kind of has that big V8 rumble, and you're like, nothing like a classic Chevy to something that you built, by yourself, not a lot of help.
I caught that. I caught that video on your Insta story. It was impressive because it's a very long shift.
And 160,000 miles. It's my last of 6 cars that actually work. The clutch is already slipping, and I was like, I don't care. I don't rub with a diaper. It's been Baja and Mojave Desert. It's been 4x4ing out in California. It got stuck out in Joshua Tree with I don't know how many hundreds of bucks to get it out. Two different tow companies. It is not a trailer queen. I built that car. I drive that car. It is a backup car. They should be driven. Personally,
actually,
they should be
is
driven.
That a picture of it on that screen that we're looking to your left?
Oh, yeah. So this was something I actually keep it up here. This is just outside. This is Gloria. This is outside.
For our listeners,
I was just going to say,
somebody describe it.
I've gotten some feedback. So it's a sunset shot out in the desert. The car is a, what do you call it? Metallic blue. I'm sure there's like some sort of GM paint code, but it's a nice metallic blue. It's got proper white walls. It's not a hot rod. It is a great looking older car.
Thank you. Yeah, this is just outside in Oatman, Arizona. It's Oatman Highway is I would say, tail of the dragon minus the dragon part on the West Coast. And
awesome.
Just a beautiful 10-mile stretch of highway.
So you take years and years and years building this car. You put your father in it. You drive to Chicago. You drive all of Route 66 on a Lemons rally, chasing points.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I had a couple goals. I went into it a couple goals. One, I didn't want to fall flat on my face. I wanted to get to the starting line. Okay. This car hadn't moved more than 20 minutes, 15 miles in any given. So my initial goal was to get out of Pennsylvania, 6 hours. Second goal was to get to the starting line. third goal after that was like, I brought a head gasket. I brought tools to do the head gasket. Up until then, I did the exterior, painted the engine in place, but never felt comfortable taking an engine apart. You know, people like, small block Chevy. I just got a book of how to build a small block Chevy. I have partaken in different builds, but I've just never really done it for myself. So that's sort of my next goal, is to sort of take this apart and finish what I started from the engine side. Yeah, it was a 7-day road rally from Chicago.
That was your first Lemons rally, right? You came in second?
Well, actually third. No, so you want to back it up. In 11, I was part of the road racing helicopter and Reliant Regal, where we got, I think, org choice and P2 in points. Mr. Plow followed after that.
Which show everyone the shirt. Show everyone the shirt you're wearing.
All right, so not only is it going to be the shirt, but to get plowed, but I have to. Probably pull out the old jacket.
See, I thought Mr. Plow was the year after Route 66.
Yeah, no, this is it was before. So I think 18.
What are we looking at? We're looking at a jacket that it looks just like Mr. Plow's jacket.
It's perfect.
KL53226. Give us a call.
It's blue, has red letters, looks just like Mr. Plow.
What's that name again?
Mr.
Done.
So that was 2018, right? That you did Mr. Plow? 2018. So we were actually at the race at Barber when it finished. So let's talk about Mr. Plow for a minute. That was a plow truck? No, that was a Mustang of some sort, right?
It was a Mustang convertible.
Go ahead, tell us about Mr. Plow.
So Mr. Plow started with a buddy up in Allentown, maybe an hour and a half away. He had gotten a really cheap deal on I guess it was an 04, 05 convertible Mustang. He had plans to sort of make it into a weekend track car. We sort of kind of got together over the Christmas prior to that Moscow to Paris. It was a gray car. We had probably 9 coats of plastic dip on top of it. 2 separate orders back to the trial, because first time I'm using plastic dip. We ended up using a Harbor Freight. We put a trailer hitch on it, a Harbor Freight 8x4 utility trailer. Since there's 4 grown men in a 905 Mustang, we had made a extension, our salt plow, which was also our luggage plow plus tool rack. And then in the front, the saying, Mustangs at, cars and coffee events.
Oh, yes.
The Mustang guys are the ones that just sort of happen to lose it coming out of the event. So we figured, let's combine the fact it's a winter rally. Let's just put a plow in the front. Let's go get a bumper from the local junkyard, pull off the good conditional one, slap on a 3/4 ply, a great building material, by the way, 3/4 plywood, zip ties, and fiberglass. Very rigid, very easy to work with.
It looked like a great plow, and it was like bright yellow, like it was the correct safety yellow. The box on the back, it was the trailer where you kept all your luggage, had like some sort of like salt sprayer on it. What was that?
Birdseed. So with every salt spreader, you have to have an actual spreader portion. And since them good old boys down the south don't know what salt is, we had a Birdseed that was a hand cranked sort of lawn seeder dispenser with a DeWalt 12-volt drill into it with a remote Bluetooth controlled relay that with a little click of the button we could dump out 5 gallons of birdseed out the back.
Because you care about the environment and you don't want cars to rust or birds to be hungry.
Exactly. Right. We were feeding, I think, 2,200 miles of birds through, 5 or 6 or 7 states that we went down.
I mean, overall, though, the theme was on point. It was on point. It was one of those.
Cold. So if folks don't know about the Lemons Rally, they typically will have a starting point system, which is for every generation or decade that you go back, you get more starting points. The agreement with Eric Root at the time was great theme. If you keep the top down the entire time, you get all the points. And there's like captured videos and us huddling in a car, like looking at weather reports. There's a couple times we did put it up.
January in the state of Pennsylvania, by the way.
Yes.
And Polar Plunge in Ocean City. This is the year that the guys brought like a 60s some like Impala and did the engine swap in the the parking lot. It wasn't because it was an old car, but combination of theme, continuing to wear the theme, which is very much part of the whole concept.
To the theme is important.
The commitment, for sure. Yeah. And then the fact that it had a Mustang with 4 dudes and 20 below in the back with baklava. It literally took us an extra 5 to 10 minutes to get in and out of the car because the guys in the back, I felt really bad. I did, because I didn't come prepared as they did. But like sleeping bags, would actually have to get in the car or pull the sleeping bag out, stand up in the sleeping bag, and then sort of hop in the back of the car as the 2 grown men in the back that kind of cycled through would kind of, hey guys, you ready? Do you have any exposed skin? Yes or no? Like, all right, let's go. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Totally nuts. Absolutely nuts.
And
that was the second.
It
rally.
Takes some digging, but if you go to Instagram Caddy Wrecker, and it's a few years ago, but you can see he's got video of these lunatics all doing this.
Yeah,
so
that was fun.
We'll just do the same check we did about the original Caddy Wrecker. So how many people died? Did they all survive?
None.
Did it catch fire?
Yeah, they all survived. No.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Success.
We're good.
Great success.
Yeah, no, it was totally good. Yeah, absolutely. It was great.
So, all right. So I think I had
So
it a little out. That was your second round.
Out of order.
Yeah, I had it out of order because I thought you had.
But
Go on, Mental's got his finger.
Well, and also again, because I'm on the Instagram right now, burying the headline. Full commitment. Dave cut his hair like Homer Simpson.
Yeah, that was part of the plan.
I forgot.
Hey, if you're going to carry a theme all the way through.
Wow.
You have to carry the theme.
So for those of you who didn't see it or aren't going to go, it was like the little zigzag line with the completely bald top of your head.
It was fun.
So yeah. If you're on the gram, check out Caddy Wrecker and go through his history. And you're gonna dig a little, but you're gonna enjoy it.
So did the Mustang survive back and forth to the rally?
Yes. It was a good group. We had, slight modification. We had to make some holes in the front of the plow, even though we had a snorkel that sort of pulled air in the top and brought it down to the air exchange. We had to drill out, a dozen, 20 or so holes with
I figured running the heater full blast 24 hours a day would also help, but apparently not enough.
I think we had
apparently not enough.
We had
great Simpsons reference.
I get it.
Speed holes. It's a
speed holes.
Reference.
Speed holes. All speed holes. So you did the Route 66 rally in Gloria. Did you get home in Gloria?
No.
This is the next story I'm trying to set you up with.
Gotcha.
So what happened to Gloria? How come? How'd you get home?
I'll just tell just a brief story on Gloria. So Gloria was named after the Millses, my father's, the grand matriarch, Bammy, our Bammy. We talked about this. Ran out of gas in the middle of Mojave Desert. Went 4x4ing on a service road out in the middle of nowhere, chasing this mysterious checkpoint 30 miles in the opposite direction. Almost got stuck twice in both either California and Arizona. And Joshua Tree, after the whole rally was over, literally sunk the rear wheels up to the middle of the dog dishes and sort of giggled after the second guy I was talking on the phone. He's like, wait, you're where? I said, I'm stuck in Wash. You know that area is washed out. I said, yeah, figured that out. Like, you need to send something bigger than the last guy because he couldn't even get to me. So had moved on to Phoenix, Arizona, where my uncle in Phoenix lives. And that's where Gloria met Chet. Now, Chet is also 1968. I fell in love with the year researching Gloria, but Chet is a 1968 C20 with a small block 350. Initially came with a 3-speed turbo hydromatic 350. 88 Camaro engine, sort of a mishmash, but really no history on the vehicle at all. I ended up picking that up for under $6,000, and a third of it was a nice, beefy set of rims on it. But you guys are from the Northeast, man. Nice, rust-free, great starting specimen. And I also, at the time, picked up too much for me, too much for the Chevelle in the truck, but a 2,700-pound tear weight, 14,000-pound capacity, 16-foot trailer from like a repo guy in Phoenix as well.
That should be adequate to tow the Chevelle.
It was $3,500. Like, I thought it was a really good deal. The whole package, $10,000. And they also, the guy I got the truck from had a 68 Honda CT90. And he's like, man, just take this off my hands. I'm like, I don't really want to spend the money. He's like, $200. I said, sold. So kind of threw that in the back of the Chevelle or the truck. So I've got 3 things from 1968. There was a family emergency that I had to get home. Let's just say, 2,600 miles in 3 days and 8 hours solo. The first day was about 1,250 miles, of which I had lost 1 out of 6 fan blades on the radiator, or the fan blade in El Paso, Texas, on the side of the highway under an overpass. The last thing that I put in my toolkit was a hacksaw. And here I am at 1:30 in the morning with cutting like 3 teeth at a time, hacking through 3 inches of aluminum because I can't really get in there and I really don't want to take everything apart. And I didn't really kind of think about water. I did learn in the Mojave Desert to bring gas. So I had 10 gallons of gas on board. And while I have a full parts car like behind me, I learned about flex blades. Okay. Don't put them on there.
Flex fans are not a good idea, everybody.
Lesson learned, right? So I went from 6 blades to 4 blades like that. And to come to find out, that's enough to sort of balance. And I got from El Paso close enough until Charlotte when the whole thing went. Took out a brand new Napa radiator. I just installed it 2 days prior. I'm on the side and I knew exactly what had happened. I hadn't been asleep in 2.5 days. Maybe an hour-and-a-half nap, a shit in the side of the road somewhere between I-10 and I-20 split. I'm outside Charlotte going, I have a whole parts car behind. Still couldn't get the fan off. Needed a new radiator. So I pulled the parts car off, and that was my parts getter. Poor days in proprietary walks out. So I tried to go the Walmart thing with it, try to get parts and pieces. Ron Man was like, I told you so. You should have bought all these other pieces ahead of time, but I didn't. Also at 1:30, which is hour. And quarter mile from an exit, it went, quickly pulled off the exit. It was a quarter mile away, drove down, opened the hood, saw what happened, confirmed what happened, closed the hood, and then made another right to a days in that was right there. And I was like, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm going to fix this, and this is how it's going to happen. So Walmart, parts car, 3-hour nap, waiting for now the parts store to open up. I slept in the bench seat in the Chevelle, which is another good reason to have bench sheets in old cars. And by like 10:30, 11 in the morning, after all the cars that were staying the night, the days in proprietor comes out, and he looks at the whole rig. And he sees the brown sludge on the ground that I left in his parking lot. And he goes, did you get a room here last night? I go, no, but you'll never believe what happened. And he's like, you got an hour to get this piece of shit out of here. And I was like, all right, I'll be gone in an hour. No big deal. And of course it was the 1 days in I've ever seen that has a one-way in. And so here I'm backing out this new rig skidding through cars over 2 or 3 different turns, and I was like, all right. By then I was like a half an hour away from buttoning up a internal toggle switch and a hard line to the fan for the pusher fan or puller fan at the time. But yeah, I ended up making it home. 2,600 miles and just over 3 days, 3 in the 3rd days.
And was your dad with you on this, or did he fly home?
No. So the deal was, I would take my father all the way to California, drop him off at his sister's in Joshua Tree. I would continue on to Phoenix to work for a month or so. And then, family emergency, had to get home. So I was in Phoenix like 5 or 6 weeks.
Got it. So he wasn't
the trailer, and no, just me.
He wasn't also getting thrown out of the Days Inn parking lot with you. That's what I really wanted to
know. No, definitely not at all. Not at all.
Well, that's good. All right. So you have a 68 Chevelle. You drive it west.
Yep.
You buy a 68 C20. If I'm correct, that is a 3/4 ton pickup truck of some sort.
That is correct.
All right.
Correct.
It's
equivalent to the 2,500 today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not a step side. It's a. Help me out here, guys.
Fleet side, long
side, or
side.
Fleet side. Thank you.
Side.
Yes.
Style.
Fleet.
Yeah, and it's not a square body. It's before the square body.
It's
before the squares.
Body. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
8 foot, 8 foot in the 3rd bed or something. It's pretty sizable, pretty stout.
So you drive this all the way home to New Jersey, because you live not that far from me. And the first thing you think of is, I got to do that again. This Lemons race. Let's go get a Mustang and let's drive with the convertible top off. This is.
I want to. Yeah, I think I took 19
because how bad can it be at this point?
So 19 for me was, 10 years I would go to the Woodbury, for 25 years I would go to the Woodbury Car Show. And ever since I got the Chevelle, I said, next year I'm going to be there. Next year I'm going to be there. 19 was the first year that it was available to go. And I bought both the truck and the trailer, the truck and the Chevelle, both named after my paternal grandparents, who literally 200 yards that way, like my father and his sisters grew up like within stone's throw. And that was my goal. So I did a bunch of car shows with the Chevelle, kind of seeing how lonely it is as a single male, like in his 40s, to have this classic hanging out with these old dudes, 20, 30 years older, also single and lonely, and going, this is sad. Is this how it's going to be? Like, seriously, it's cool. I enjoyed it, but I gotta find some other hobbies, It sort of kind of spun me into the, going full tilt on the lemon stuff, or the Lemons Rally stuff.
All right. So what was your next Lemons Rally experience? Because then you took Chet on a rally, right?
Yes. So this was all pulled together as they typically are. I had wanted to take the salt spreader box. I had made some upgrades over 2019 to sort of make that a tailgater. So it opened up. I had put in RV doors that came flipped open. I had put in a sort of second level or like a one level in there, to where I was planning on putting water and batteries in the front, and then a pull out range and grill out the back. The initial plan, which was never going to happen, but to kind of use that as like a mini RV in the back of the truck to go do, Moscow to Paris. And then I want to say a day or two after New Year's, a former neighbor of mine said, you interested in this sort of RV? A friend of mine's going to get rid of one. Would you kind of want to check it out? And I said, yeah, let's go check it out. So that's when I got the Rocinante. I got this white camper. And
slide in for your truck. A sliding camp.
So it's a 2001 S&S campers, someplace in Montana. It's got a.
I'm not gonna lie. Literally, no one cares. This is like no camper nerds on this show.
Okay,
it's
an RV slide-in. It's a 32 square feet of any bell and any whistle that you want, whether it be AC, microwave, refrigerator, 3-burner gas range. It's got all the bells and the whistles.
There are some people listening to the show who probably don't even know what a slide-in is. Let me just explain that. That's the thing that sits in the bed of the pickup truck and kind of goes over the cab of the pickup truck, right? And it's a camper.
It's got these. Mm-hmm.
It's
An
a
RV
camper
that
that
sits in
lives.
the bed of a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
The idea is modular, whereas those with a fixed RV, you are forced to like set up shop, and if you want to leave someplace, you got to pack up all your stuff, go and come back. This has those sort of jack screws, the 4 of them, where you flip out the fronts, it goes with batteries, and then you drive out. And so
So
you're able to
like
kind of have it all in one.
you can leave the
You can
slide
go
in
through,
and drive the truck away.
especially when you have transmission problems once or twice or 3 or 4 times. You can't be working on transmissions when your house is right there, you know. So that's sort of the start of.
I don't want to cut but I remember when you showed up at the Moscow, the end of the Moscow rally at Barber, where you know the traditional end of it is, and I was at that race. I think I was the only one that made it that year. And
we were all there.
The year of the camper
this is
truck?
the year he brought his truck.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was thinking Mr. Plow. I apologize.
Mr. Plow. Yeah, Mr. Plow. We were all there. That was great. And I remember because you'd had some transmission issues, and you basically you looked at a mountain and said, "This one's going to kill it," and you were 100% right. And then they had to send like the heaviest of the heavy duty tow trucks to get you, but it was this bizarre inception kind of deal where a truck had a camper, you know. And I remember sending you the video of Yo Dog. I heard you like the truck, so we put your truck on a truck so you could. But as they were unloading Chet from this Super Duty flatbed, the Super Duty flatbed's front wheels were lifting off the ground as the truck rolled onto it, and you found it's the same local shop. They sell trailers, and somebody they were storing a car for Corey Dickman a couple of years ago, but they're like, yeah, come on over, park it over here, we'll get it fixed.
Squirt and Coronas, Darren's teammate and friend, the Squirt and Coronas. He has just a beautiful like 3500. I weighed myself after I got home. I'm not going to tell you the number, but it's heavy. Chet is a fatty McFatty. He has got to go on a diet. With the sort of modular pieces that I've done, you know, some of the customization I've done, we can talk about that. But, you know, I'm looking at doors now going, that's too heavy. That door's got nope, no doors. You can't have any doors. If I need a door, it's going to be made out of aluminum. It did sleep 4 people with like the two singles in the back right corner. That whole 100 pounds of like cabinetry got yanked out and got replaced with aluminum and acrylic. It's been a fun transformation. And 2020 for me, the first half of the year was 4 transmissions and 5,000 miles. It was like 1,250 miles of transmission on average, you know. The first, I'm not an automatic trans guy. What can I say?
It's the it's
you
the
know that
Lotus
TV cable.
It's the Lotus approach to RVing, adding lightness.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're in Alabama, you live in New Jersey, you have a busted transmission, and you just say like, screw it, I'll just like live here now and replace transmissions for the next like month and a half of your life.
So this is like February 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I got towed in by Haggerty, towed out of Barber to Trailers by Dale Sale. I was there for like 3 weeks, including a quick trip home for a family member's birthday. And then the first of 3 Summit out of box 700 R4s. And I wanted a 4-speed. It was, screaming at 3,500 RPMs. I liked the sort of gearing on it with a 410 rear. But I wanted a 4-speed, and I know they make 4 speeds. I just wanted to get a big beefy one, plug and play from Summit. And that was the second transmission that was put in Moody, Alabama, and sort of squatted there for 2.5 weeks or so, 3 weeks. At that point, it was, better trans cooler, additional fans, and something that was still way out of my league to really understand how to sort of set this thing up. But, that one was good for about 600 miles. Also worth noting that my rally partner, Brandon Wright, and I, as we were doing the front brake conversion in the truck in Jersey before we left, the brake booster went. So the entire 2020 Moscow to Paris was done with no pneumatic brakes,
Manual
support,
brakes.
up
Nice.
and down, manual brakes.
Throw your leg out out the door.
Yeah.
It was, you better anticipate how far that you need to stop because you are severely overweight and you are on manual brakes with, spindles in the front and still the original drums in the rear.
Sounds great.
So transmission 2 lasted how many miles? 700 miles, you said?
Yeah, so I'd moved from Moody. I remember getting a new brake booster because the one I had put in Moody failed quickly. It's an unobtainium part in apparently on 4 states down south. So I'd had that one delivered to a Verizon store. I did a bit of Walmart, Wally Worlding along the way. And they're like, oh, we don't even take the liability. I said, I'm the big thing that's been sitting here for 2 days. I just spent money with you for a new Verizon phone. I'm delivering this thing here. I'm a customer of yours, damn it, So
what liability am I? I can't leave.
Right, especially when I was hitting the brake, it literally sounded like I had air brakes. So the second one had brought the booster itself, and the diaphragm broke. And again, back to that unobtainium. Try to fix in the parking lot booster.
Your greater liability leaving their parking lot with broken brakes and staying there for
Correct.
2 days, right?
Yeah. This was even stupid for me, and I was like, all right, let me fix this now. I want to say it was somewhere in Georgia. I still had goals to get to the Florida Panhandle. Like I was hell bent on finishing at least start of my trip, which initially started out to be a 6 to 8 week trip after the rally to do the whole shoehorn of Florida, excuse me. And
almost as bad.
We're amphibious now.
Same humidity, same amount of poisonous crap.
That's right.
Yeah.
People shooting at you.
Just as much revolution, whatever. So okay, so transmission 3 goes in, and what happens?
3 was in Jacksonville. So I had the team that I raced, Florida Man Racing, Donnie, and Will Green and Bill Green and all them good old Florida boys. 6 weeks into this entire adventure, COVID hit. And so
and you are thousands of miles from home.
1,000 miles away, and already limping along, just kind of rolling with it. There was a lot of unknowns. At the time, I was looking at sort of the numbers that were coming in and the infections, and I was going, Jersey's locked down just locked down. I said, why would I want to come back to the hotspot? So between problems with the transmissions
March in Jersey.
And it's March in Jersey. That was kind of my goal. I didn't plan to come back until the springtime, and sort of leapfrogged COVID numbers and just sort of started to point myself back up north. So I was in Jacksonville for 2 months, still working remote, hotspot, MiFi, cell phone. And I think we did Lemons, Amelia Island, Concours
de La Mal,
the whole rig. It was sort of like showed up in that, I was like, oh man, it's my backyard. It's 30 miles away. It'd be a really good test day to go check out this new transmission. I don't think I put the dipstick in or something. It was pouring out transfluid. Like it was a really tough, learning experience about a 700 R4 and what does and does not work for the capacity and the sheer volume that I was carrying on his back.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about automatic transmissions, but I do know that fluid is kind of important.
Yeah,
it is. And cool it as well. And also things like, go ahead.
No, finish your statement because I'm changing subjects. Finish your thing about cooling fluid.
Transcoolers, but automatic torque locker, not manual ones where the knucklehead who didn't even plug it in had to actually flip the switch, but something that is 100% dummy proof, because I'm already 3 transes in, 2 warranty claims with Summit because I asked them to size something up. So 2, 3, and 4 were all warranty. 2 was purchase, 3 and 4 were warranty claims. And I think I don't know.
You're on a list.
12 gallons.
They're not listening. Don't worry.
I don't know. I really put it on the product vendor, and I said, look, you guys recommended A and B, or 2 and 3. I'm not a happy customer. I kind of sort of customer service. I want the manager, and I want the senior manager, and I really want somebody to understand
don't
why
like you.
No? Oh, no, I'm totally on the red list. Oh, totally.
But now,
Like, I'm
but I
sorry,
knew-
you want to buy what? No.
are you still
Yeah,
a satisfied customer of Summit?
I am very much.
All
so.
right, good. All right, so they made it right.
They stand up. They did. They made it right.
And this is like early into this. We'd been calling you Giant Dave since you showed up and themed with us at New Jersey.
For those of you who don't know, Dave is not a tall guy.
No, but he's a big man. But he shows up as Lance Armstrong in bicycle shorts with one tennis ball, which when I tell that story to complete strangers, they all laugh. And wore bicycle shorts with one tennis ball all weekend. But we'd started calling you. Yeah, we started calling
it was like braided and stuff.
Yeah, we started calling you Giant Dave at that point, and then at the beginning of this, you'd become homeless / transient Dave.
Man, you guys are calling me all sorts of crap. Vagabond.
I mean, you listen to the show, so you know what we're telling you.
I know, but
after those stories, do you blame us?
Well, and this, but this part here, because you're in like the outer islands of South Carolina, and you were taking all this drone footage, and you were down there in Florida. And then that was when we all started really, because Chrissy was singing "Let Me Go." She's trapped in her house with Chris, and my wife's about to strangle me, and Jeff still had to go to work because that's college in New Jersey. But at this point now, we're all like, Dave's got it figured out.
Dave was
man.
right.
Dave was right. We're all idiots, and that was when Gentleman Dave.
I think the problem is
I appreciate it.
Now none of us would go to Florida for $1 million because they got the Rona. They got the Rona deep. So I'm very happy to be in New Jersey now, but you're definitely smart through most of the winter.
But you were staying in state
was
parks.
Very enlightening.
You're like you were
so
distance before they had the phrase distant.
Yeah.
So
maybe some of the tools or tricks and apps.
That's what I was going to say. You have some thoughts
on
on how you find your locations and things, and how you how to find a camp first. Then we'll talk about what to put in your rig, and then we'll wrap this shindig up.
And I asked you to talk about this because I've got two people that retired out of my unit, and both of them are strapping into RVs and just driving around. And it's a whole lot of people that are reevaluating this entire year. They're like, what exactly am I doing? What am I working for? And then I had an extended conversation today with a coworker. He's like, yeah, we want to go on vacation, but what do we do? And I said, well, have you considered RVing? So if you're listening to this and you're wondering, how can I get out of the house and get a break from these same four walls and do it smart, like Chris and Chrissy did when they went hiking up in New Hampshire, these are some great opportunities. And it's completely available. If you've got kids and dogs and that kind of stuff, RVing is the way to go.
Hashtag van life.
Absolutely.
No
Also,
Instagram influencer.
It's like a floating RV. It's more expensive.
Just watch the weight,
Yeah. Sorry, Dave. So tell us some of the tricks of the trade.
So I carry redundant. Initially, it was Georgia. I got my Verizon phone. I also wanted a redundant Wi-Fi. I recommend at least 2 separate carriers. You've got your primary cell phone, a lot of you can do a mobile hotspot, and then some other carrier that would help you give just network redundancy as well. I'll use a couple apps. There is a Hip Camp. It's like a website and an app. It's like Airbnb for RVs or campsites. That's how I found the 6-week spot next to the marshland at a beautiful 10-acre property. Kind of did a handshake deal after a couple days. Free Roam, FREEROAM. It is a app that you can, once you have a target location, you can literally overlay the cell towers to that target location. So you can have some general idea of the strength of your signal before you even get there. And then recreation.gov. I have a compass app that's there. Pilot, Flying J, you got to get them points, and freecamping.net. That sort of rounds out my on the road travel apps. Let's see.
Good tips.
So let's talk about the rig itself. You have
Wi-Fi.
done a ton of modification, especially in the ability to cook in your slide in. Give us just a quick rundown of some of the things that you've done for your little camper thing there.
All right, so it all started coffee pot on Route 66. That morphed in my father's idea, hot plate. Before you know it, we're taking my crock pot and making crock pot trunk meat chili. So that's sort of started the whole mobile food thing. Gotta have trunk meat. The truck has a 30-inch smoker hanging off the back, electric smoker. 2,000 watt Predator, 1,600 watt peak generator to sort of power that. Anything that either heats up or cools down is not really good for solar. So I still do carry the generator. It not only is backup because I hadn't really shaken down the whole expansion of lithium batteries and sort of moving into that really fully off grid. Oven, range, smoker. How long to smoke a salmon? About 220 miles. between fuel stops, fill ups. I sort of came home. It was like the
lunch. Don't worry about it.
Not at all. Yeah. That's sort of
So solar. You said you have panels. Tell me about your panels.
I had picked up a Fazios used one, 230 watts. Sort of slapped that on the top middle. Love Fazios. It doesn't have the capacity. Just it's got some efficiency. Probably a lot of efficiency loss. I also picked up, because I'm trying to lose some weight here, but I still need these things, lightweight flex solar panels. And so I built a side awning / I can use it for my Fook, my fun utility cart, which is in process of being built, and also be able to tilt out and have a awning using that solar panels as well. So it's sort of multi-purpose, multi-function. I'm up to 630 watts inbound.
Is that a lot? I'm not an engineer.
It seems like a lot.
More than your average. It all comes down to roof space. If you don't have any roof space, consider hanging them off the side and then maybe using an awning, convert it dual purpose for a awning.
Okay. So you kind of filled the roof and you needed to get more like cubic feet. So you built kind of like an awning. Okay, now I'm getting the picture now.
Sure.
Okay.
And as long as you're facing west, because the sun rises in the south, you're facing west and it's on the south side of those panels, they will in fact, you can perfect zenith, perfect perpendicularity. You don't have to worry about those roof mounted ones that are just flat all the time. There's ways to do it. It's sort of been fun making the mechanisms and support all of that.
Nice, awesome. So how much electricity can you store? Because what are you running, like huge stacks of batteries? Are you like running drill batteries? You running deep cycle? What do you got?
Mm-hmm. So I went with lithium iron phosphate, which is one of the newer technologies. It is sensitive to temperature in terms of its charge and discharge rates. I picked up a Renogy 100 amp hour, 12 volt battery prior to this trip. They're pricey. Retail, I think they're like, $800. In following the Electrica guy who does the Lemons Rally and electric car,
the Jet Electrica.
Daniels.
Yeah.
And then the Gen, yeah. Sort of my back, he's been sort of guiding me on the Alibaba type of purchase. I picked up prior to December about 6 times that. So I'm up to 8,800 watt hours of juice, which is enough to run a microwave for like 10 hours straight or some crazy capacity. I just sick power. My goal is to like not just be off grid, but not have to rely. I want to get rid of the generator because Chet's on a diet. The generator requires to carry extra gas as well. And so I kind of want to eliminate both of those from the rig. But the only way I can do it is to make sure that I have the capacity for the rainy days and, have enough on reserve capacity in addition to have enough coming in to at least do the minimal from a, cell phone, Wi-Fi, and wireless access point type of get up.
Wow. I I think I'm ready to wrap it up, but I want to open it up to the hosts to see if they have any questions before I deliver the grand question.
I'm good.
All right,
This
here
has
comes
been
the
great.
grand question, Dave. Are you ready? Are you excited? Any chance you're going to return to normal life? And what is the new normal for the gentleman giant Dave?
At this point, I get seasonally depressed. Maybe the plan is to sort of do this transient snowbird type of thing for a little while.
I highly
sort of
recommend
focusing on my
Nevada.
career.
I highly recommend it. Yes, absolutely.
It's dusty.
Right now, the focus is family. 2021, I'm looking for a piece of property to sort of collapse the condo and the garage. So that's sort of my focus this year. I'm also joined American Endurance Racing.
We didn't even get into that yet.
Staff. Yeah, it's cool. But the AER is doing an in-car flagging system. Yeah, I got you.
By the way, it's nighttime here. I just wanted to throw that up. That's after the sun went.
62 degrees in Nevada. Thank you.
Vegas. Yep.
He's showing us the thing.
Yeah.
So actually, hit on that because I don't want to leave this before we talk about that, because we talked about the in-car flagging system that both AER and who was the other group that was running it? Champ
Car's going with a different version of it, and then there was an app when I ran NASA. That you had to run on your iPhone or your Android if you're an idiot.
So tell us what AER is doing, what is the technology, and what are the positives and negatives?
So for those that miss yellow flags, first turn, second turn, NJMP, the one off to the left.
Look, there are people that are laser focused.
Laser focused.
Yeah, those guys have, take them outside and shoot them. It is an in-car. It uses geospatial, like radio recognition. So as a car enters a given flag zone, even though it could be on the other side of the hill, it's while the corner worker is waving that color flag, they push a yellow button. That yellow button does the signal. The signal is to the car. It is part of AER's requirements to now use this type of system as a requirement in safety for their racing series. So there's a couple of companies in the space. I think you mentioned Champ is running one. If you guys know, AER does bring the technology and the check-ins and the car process and the RFID stuff.
tags right on your helmet.
Yeah, just a different level of technology to grassroots motorsports, and I find that fascinating. It's really nice to be able to take my 10, 11, 12 years of racing experience and now still experience a racetrack, but on the other side of the wall. And during pandemics, it's great to be outside, so it's kind of win-win-win. I'll go to an AR event and then sort of slide into a park after that, and then take my time getting home the following weekend. So it's working for me right now.
Yeah, too bad they had to cancel the Barber event, right? They just canceled Barber. Charlotte, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, they just didn't have the car counts. John was very forthcoming with that fact. It still is a small business for people, and as a racer, it's like a track day. If there's no competition in your class, I can go to a track day for 1/3 the cost versus, paying a lot of money to go race wheel to wheel racing. And you're not going to do that without a minimal car count. So it's very transparent and very,
they did
a smart move.
Reschedule that though for August. They sent that announcement out.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think we're sharing it. And then the 14-hour Duro that they did at the end at NJMP, like people like finishing under lights. It's just, if you haven't done it, it's kind of cool to kind of wrap up in the evening time and add the whole light spectrum to the, car setup.
Awesome. I'm down. So last plug, where can we find out more about the travels of Giant Gentleman Dave? We mentioned the Insta handle. It is Caddy Wrecker, correct?
Yep. Correct. All one word, Caddy and then Wrecker, both on the Insta as well as the Facebook.
Got it.
And I haven't have a YouTube channel with like one. No, YouTube I think has one follower. Like, oh, it's just another place where just to stick stuff. But yeah, perhaps looking to build that out as well. But yeah, mostly Instagram and Facebook with Caddy Wrecker.
Awesome. We're gonna move on to On the Spot. I have it on the spot. I feel like I've been talking all episode because I've kind of been running the questions for Dave. Go on,
Dave. Didn't you have something for Jeff?
Well, hey Jeff, one hen, 2 ducks.
Oh my God!
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking, 4 porpoises, 5 limerick oysters, 6 pairs of Donnell bear tweezers, 7,000 Macedonians in full battle array, 8 bronze monkeys from the ancient evil Egyptian crypts of Egypt, 9 sympathetic, diabetic, apathetic old men on roller skates with a marked propensity towards procrastination and slur, 10 demoniacal, diabolical denizens of the deep, all coming around the corner of the Meridian Way. Did I get it?
Yeah, I'm impressed.
That
I don't know what that was.
That was
awesome.
that
30
is
years ago.
That is a Boy Scout song that I remembered.
Yes.
When I was 19, but did not remember when I was 48. And I was struggling while I was sitting here going,
somehow
line.
Yeah.
I know Desians in the Deep is coming soon.
All coming around the corner of the Meridian Way.
Yes. I can still do Flea Fly.
To you, Jeff. Forget that one. But as a young, impressionable 11-year-old, meeting older boys like you, 17, 18, 19, 8, 9, 10-year spread that are cool, that drive international scouts, I remember Tom Klein pick up and drop offs.
That was cool, Chrissy.
Remember how
you're 11 years old. You're
like how cool Jeff's hair was at that age?
Oh, Jeff's
I had a lot of hair.
Long
and luscious locks.
And was it
cool.
25 years later to hear your voice at Summit as you guys wrenched on the Wartburg, putting the Subi heads on or whatever with, and to know that very distinctive voice, and to know that your father and then your uncle Bill, of whose funeral was 2-3 hour wait time. It just goes back a very long way. And I just want to say thank you to you and the Wakeman family. And, I fully do believe and support the scouting program. It's a little weirder nowadays as a single male to want to support the idea, but you're doing right in supporting your son, carrying that to the next generation. And a lot of praise and thanks to the Wakeman family for sort of giving me a good grounded start from the beginning of all this all.
Yeah, we didn't really go into that part of our history, but I met Dave when he was 11 and I was 16 or 17. So in Boy Scouts. So I definitely did not. And I will need you to type out the words to that song so I could teach it to my son, because I sure as hell don't remember it. And I'll email you back the words.
He doesn't have that kind of time. It's a really long song.
I can type pretty quick. I'm already started on it. and 2 ducks.
And in 20 years, in 20, 30 years, Josh, if you're listening to this, remember this.
He's not going to be
your dad was cool.
I was cool at one point. Hey, Chris, ask Dave what his first race car was.
Hey, Dave, what was your first race car?
A 91 DSM Plymouth Laser.
Nice.
I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, no.
I was like, oh yeah, I know where you were influenced. We are doing a lot of air quotes on this side. Influenced to get that fun car.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you know how long it lasted?
Very short.
34 laps into a 50-lap enduro, 12.75 miles worth of drive time down in the good old boy section of Budds Creek, Maryland.
That's better than expected.
It quickly got scrapped.
Yeah, would make a great dirt car. I'm telling you.
Good life.
Yeah. All right, so here,
for a laser.
Turbo. Mm-hmm.
Here is the on the spot. We are on the spot, Dave, in case you don't listen, or the people out there who don't listen. This is where somebody asks a question that no one is prepared to answer, and every single person has to answer. And here is tonight's on the spot question. If you were about to partake in a multi-month tour of the United States where you had to live out of your vehicle, what vehicle would you take?
Reasonable budget or
not reasonable budget. Hella tight budget.
Like, is it a vehicle we own now, or just the world is our oyster?
The world is your oyster, but let's keep it under 20 grand.
Oh,
so generous.
Okay, because
that's twice what Dave spent on Chet.
All right, I have
3 times 2.8.
I have an RV, and even having that RV, it's a hard choice because I know which one I want to live in. It's just really uncomfortable to sleep in.
Okay.
And then I've got a Volvo wagon, which is fun, but it's not fun to.
Well, it doesn't have to be something you own. It can be anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to go last because
I have a question.
Yes.
If I chose your international harvester, does that mean it's free? Do I start out free?
you wouldn't want to choose an international harvester. That'd be terrible.
You're not going to get anywhere.
I bet if you call Jen, that international in his driveway is free.
So just
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just a quick clarity. Does it have to have a bathroom, or are you like full on van life in it? Like, it's a very clear. You have to have water.
You would know.
I think van
Basic
life.
electricity?
You have is what you have. If you can live off the grid in it, then you can live off the grid. If you need a potty, then you're whipping it out at the truck stop.
Yeah, you are.
Go ahead, Mental. You got your hand up.
Bad context on that one. I would probably end up quasi van lifing it, but I just can't fully commit to that because A, I hate the whole Instagram moniker of it. And then B, vans are just terrible to drive for long distances. And I realized that I had kind of already done this and I could do it again because you could set it up in the back. 1500 Suburban, final answer. Preferably a Z71.
A Suburban for Mental. Chrissy, what you got?
I'm struggling here. I had an idea. It's a dumb idea, and then but it's not. You can't go to the bathroom in it. Oh, I know what I'm gonna get. A short bus.
Ooh.
I had a short bus that people drove from Alaska to Maryland in. I owned one. They had little curtains and a little hot plate and you put your couch in it. What are you doing? I don't know. What
chin straps and drill bucket. That one of those things.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like the six on each side. Yes, I'm getting a short bus. Final answer.
Nice.
Short bus is probably a better answer than I had. I was going to say Ford Transit Connect. Because
you can stand in them, can't you?
No, the little Transit, the little one.
Oh.
And I would van life.
I was thinking of Sprinter.
Chrissy's right. The little Transit, you have to special order, but they do have the high roof ones.
Yeah, a high roof one. Sure, yes, then a high roof one, if it's possible. But I would convert van life #yo a Transit Connect. But Chrissy's answer is better. Chris, what do you got?
35-foot sailboat, probably a J35 or a CNC 34
nice.
plus.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I take it back. Chris has the right answer.
Not for where I live, but okay.
Dave, do we even
we're supposed to be traveling. We can travel.
Fact. Okay, no, I got you. Yeah.
Chris wins.
Hey, we could sell the house, and all we need is a short bus and a sailboat.
Great.
All we need to go places. We'll bring the short bus on land.
That's my plan.
Sounds great.
Dave, do you have a different answer, or
different
would you
answer.
have a '68 Chevy C20?
This is right now on the trans side, it's proven. Still working on the engine. I would have literally had the same 2020 repeat had I not had these events canceled. So can I report back?
Sure. Absolutely.
The engine all fixed up, if I can go down and back again with a new build.
We
And
absolutely
we're gonna go with
will have
68
you back again
Dante.
because it's been a trip. We're just going to get you a better microphone next time because you still sound a little bit like you're in a can there. I don't know what's going on. That's all right. Because
here's the lesson,
figure it
folks. If you're at a Lemons track and you see Dave in his compound, because didn't you have the pop-up trailer bolted to a trailer? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but go talk to Dave. He is endlessly fascinating.
Start with,
Hi.
I heard you died in a caddy accident. I think that's the.
But hey, you didn't die.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate y'all having.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here, Dave.
Thanks for coming. Do we have any clue what we're doing next week?
Maybe.
Yeah. I thought we would talk about seats, like the selection and mounting of race seats. We never really talked about it. And
tis the season as well.
Giant Dave is showing us his butt pad.
It's his booster seat.
Contoured butt pad.
Highly recommended for those that sit on their ass all day long.
Yeah.
Good posture.
Excellent. So let's talk about seats.
The mounting of race seats, the purchasing of race seats, the joy of seating.
Ass pleasure in your race car.
Oh, wow.
Which we would love to see as a theme.
Oh, no. This coffee's going to come out his nose.
I'm going to try and get it together to send the credits. Thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We'll hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and hashtag van life, because everyone can be a homeless gentleman, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hated us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you're on the YouTube, put it down in the doodly-doo on what you think of the show. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com, or text mental. We have had a lot of texts recently. 484-243-0455. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up, or the camper side up, and just keep those wheels down.